Hey y'all, I hope you're well. Welcome to another episode of Healthcare Boulevard. This is a podcast where we shine more light on healthcare, and our goal here is to provide more options to people looking to choose healthcare as a career path, regardless of their background. My name is Sena Kakpomo, and I am your host and creator here. I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your support. Remember, you can tune in on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Hey y'all, so back on the mic. This is the second part of our, what you gotta know about pharmacy, or some of the basic things, I should say, that one will want to know about pharmacy. And last episode I was on the mic, we talked about what pharmacists do, how to become a pharmacist, and the different settings pharmacists worked in. So for today, I'm still recording this one in Maryland. So for today we are going to look at the history of pharmacists, which it's going to be funny when I get there. We'll look at how much pharmacists make. And again, I may have mentioned this before, but when it comes to income of any of the professions I'm covering in this on this podcast, or anywhere really, when you're looking at whether you're reading something. I'm sorry, I don't know how much of that you got. Again, I'm in a different setting. We're pretty close to the street, and right, our house is not far from the fire station, and so that all results in sometimes unnecessary noise. So I'm gonna try that again. When we're talking about income, right, and whether that's you're getting that information on my podcast over here at Healthcare Boulevard, or you're getting it, you're looking it up yourself, or you're reading about it on some blog or what have you, keep in mind that this is only either an average or a median, right? They may give you a range. So all of these give you a solid idea of what to expect. Like if they say, for example, the median pay is 120,000, clearly you're not gonna start off getting paid. Somebody gives you an offer of 60,000, depending on where you are, you likely are gonna think twice about that. Or if somebody gives you an offer of 300,000, especially as a new grad, like, ooh, okay, it's out there. But the point I'm trying to make is look at it as an estimate, as an average or what have you, and it would depend. Your actual income once you start working would depend on, one, your geographical location, two, where you are in your career, your level of experience, three, what the setting is, the clinical setting. It's very likely and oftentimes the case that a specialized professional makes it just a little bit more than a generalized professional. You know what I mean? And so don't take these numbers that I'm giving you when it comes to income and get so glued to it. And also don't necessarily expect that when you come right out of school, right? Because this is median or average. That means there are lower prices, there are higher prices, there are prices that are right around that time. But it gives you an idea. Okay. Especially when it compared to other professions. That's the big thing that I want you to use this for, is when you're at a point in your life or your career where you're saying, okay, let me see, I'm interested in 2 or 3 different things. I have a goal of certain level of finances I want to be in by the time I'm done with my education. Then this is a great tool to use to compare those things and so forth. But don't get too tethered to it. All right. Let's start with the history. The history of pharmacy, I'm literally not even gonna spend too much time on it, because I'm really just covering this because that's my thing, is to cover a history of every profession I do talk about. But as you may imagine, unlike PA, which is essentially came out of the need for more primary care providers. I hope you listen to that episode. If you haven't, check it out. The pharmacist, the idea of pharmacy has been around for countless of years. To give you an idea, I'm looking at a timeline history here, and they started 2100 years BCE, and the next thing is 130 to 200 years AD, and the next thing is 1240 AD. So all of these things, right? And so it tells you the idea, and that makes total sense. As long as humans have existed, to the best of our knowledge, scientifically speaking, anyways, there've been some sickness around, right? Whatever that may be, there've been some ailment. So with ailment comes humans' need and drive to find some cure and some treatment and some treatment to the ailment. So that makes total sense that pharmacy has its roots all the way before any of us or our ancestry can even remember being alive. And so I'm gonna now, if something you want to take something that might be useful, or just something that we may recognize more, is that in 1852, that's when the American Pharmaceutical, now called Pharmacists Association, or APHA, was first established, right? That was the first. So, and then going back 1821, Philadelphia College of Pharmacy was created. So I'm spending way more time on this than I want to, so I'll just stop it there. I'll put a link in there, and you can dive in deep if you're a history person and that makes your heart tingle. Please make your heart tingle. Do your thing, do your heart service and make it tingle. But I'm not gonna spend too much time on history. I've already spent much more than I need to. Okay, now let's close that page and talk about income. So I went on all that rave about income and what not to do about the numbers I'm giving you. Now, if you listen to the last time I did this, you know I like BLS.gov. It's close to my heart just because it's one resource that I found very useful when I was lost and need a comparison of careers and things like that. So on BLS.gov, if you look up pharmacists, these are the numbers they're giving me for pharmacists income. It's $128,710 per year and $61.88 per hour, right? Again, of course, entry level is a doctorate degree. We already know that. And then it goes into all the other shenanigans. But I'm only using this for the income, and that's what it is: 128 about and 61 about. Again, that's a median. Now, if you just type in pharmacist salary on Google, you have different options, just like we did for peers. You have Glassdoor is giving you 80,000 to 170,000. If you think about it, again, they're giving you over here based on city. And I've mentioned I'm in Maryland right now, so the numbers I'm giving you, because they're giving this per city, is Washington and Baltimore. So Glassdoor is 80,000 to 170,000. Again, that's a very wide range, right? And that, of course, depending on, like I mentioned earlier, where you are, your location, where you're working at, your experience level. Salary.com has 140 to 170,000, and then EOI Economics Release has 110 to 190. So the takeaway is, you are on average you're going to be around 100,000 depending on where you're practicing, right? And your level of experience and so forth in your clinical setting. So that's the numbers. Those are the numbers. The next thing I want to touch on real quick before I close this up is pharmacist versus pharmaceutical scientist. Okay, so when you hear the word pharmacist or anything that has pharmaceutical science, you know they're related, right? And we know that it's all about medication, treatment, medication. Okay, what is then the difference between a pharmacist and a pharmaceutical scientist? A pharmacist is more likely, it's oftentimes found in clinical settings. So if you are a pharmacist, you're likely working with patients and so forth. Now, if you're a pharmaceutical scientist, what you're going to be doing, you're doing more so research. You're coming up with new medications or coming up with better routes of administering medications. You are doing the development part and the research part and the study part, all the nitty-gritty science that is involved in coming up with medication and coming up with the right route and testing the medication, all that stuff. That's a pharmaceutical scientist versus a pharmacist, wherein you then, as a pharmacist, you learn what a pharmaceutical science have studied. You learn that, and then you educate the population and the community about that, and your patients about that. So it's two parts, if that makes sense. So I hope that makes sense to you. So if you were like, I want to know about medications, but I don't want to work with patients. I'm not a people person. I want to be in my own little world. That's where I work best. And I want to figure out all the fancy medications to help people who are sick or what have you. Then you want to be a pharmaceutical scientist. If you're like, I don't want to be stuck in the lab all the time or doing research. I don't like doing research, or at the very least, I want people interaction. I enjoy that. Then you're a pharmacist. There is, you can do a combination of a little bit of both. Of course, that will mean that you're doing more. You're extending your education, because anytime you're combining two things, you're extending the time you're in school and so forth. And there are different routes to go. We'll talk again. I've mentioned it before, and I'm gonna say it again. These summaries I'm giving you really are giving you a taste of the profession. And if you are strongly considering that profession, I highly recommend you listen to the interviews I do with pharmacist students, PA students, PT students, and so forth, as I grow, as we continue, and I go through each profession. More than that, I would recommend you talk to people. I recommend you reach out to people. The next thing is work-life balance. I try to include that for nearly every profession I speak of on the show, on the podcast. This is not something I will share a link with, because it's not scientific. It's not like cut and dry, right? And so, from most of what I'm reading, pharmacists have a pretty good work-life balance. I will say again, it really depends on what you're doing and what you want to do. We've had, like with any profession, you can be working as a doctor and have a better work-life balance than a pharmacist or a PA or even an RN, right? You can be working as an RN or even a CNA or a PA or a pharmacist and have like terrible work-life balance because you packed on your schedule and you have a goal of making as much money as possible, or you just like to being out there. So it really is dependent on the schedule you make for yourself, and the schedule you're making is depending on where you're employed, right? But with you, as you may not have too many options coming out of high school, coming out of school, right? First certified or what have you. But as the years progress, you will have more opportunities and pick for yourself, switch and mix what you will and will not do. and the opportunities are out there for any of these professions for you to build a schedule that works for your lifestyle here and there. And that lifestyle may change. You may start to be like, oh, I'm fine working 80 hours a week when you're out of school, perhaps with no kids or family to want to spend time with and care after and so forth. But maybe 5 years down the line, now you got a husband or wife and you have kids, and you're like, you know what, I want to do no more than 30 hours a week or no more than 40 hours a week so I can spend time with my family. Or you now have a new hobby that you want to spend time on, just because, well, that's a luxury that you want to afford for yourself as a life, and that's totally fine. Whatever the reason is for you to change your lifestyle, for whatever the reason is that causes you to want to change your schedule around to either gain more balance or lose some balance, it's totally up to you. But the point I'm trying to make is that the opportunities are out there. You may not be right as you start thinking about changing your life style or what have you, but it is there. You just gotta look for it. But that's it. that's it on work life balance for pharmacists. It's everything I'm saying is great. Again, keep in mind that it depends on what you want. You can make anything out of any of these professions, and that's it. All right, that's all I have for you today. Thank you again for joining me. I appreciate you. Please subscribe, follow, like, comment, and share, and stay blessed. Bye.